Storage, pretty big problem. The other day I was trying to install Spider-Man 2, because I got back from watching the Brandon Day movie, amazing movie by the way, and I was like, you know what? I really want to play Spider-Man 2, just sort of get the web slinging in. And then I saw that it was like 90 gigabytes or something. And I was like, all right, I knew that the situation was bad, but I didn't know that it was this bad. So I figured, might as well make a video about it. I want to start off by saying that I understand that some games, have a reason to be, the space that they are. Like, for example, Cyberpunk or Red Dead 2, Red Dead 2 especially, because I know that game's like 112, 120, specifically on PC. And I mean, the game looks amazing. So it definitely makes sense for it to be that much. But when you start considering and taking in the fact that like some games just shouldn't be the storage space that they are, and the biggest culprit of this is Call of Duty, specifically like the newest ones. I don't really want to talk too much about the Black Ops ports, because like they're old games, whatever, don't really care too much. But specifically like Black Ops 7 and 6 and Warzone as well, these games go for like 300 gigs or something. Like if you try to install COD right now, it's like 300 damn gigs. I am not installing Call of Duty for 300 gigabytes because that's like 1/3 of my storage, and I don't understand how these games can even be that much storage. Yeah, like you could argue, graphical fidelity as like, number one reason. But I'm gonna be honest, dude, Black Ops 7 doesn't even look that good. It looks all right, but it doesn't look 300 gigabytes, good. Like if you compare Black Ops 7 to like Black Ops 2 or Modern Warfare 2 OG, and you put them like side by side, you could say that like maybe Black Ops 7, looks better, but there's no way that the jump in graphics is 250 gigabytes. That should just never be the damn case. I don't care how good a game looks. Culprit number 2 is sports games. Any sports game, FIFA, Madden, 2K, whatever whatever people want to play nowadays. These games are actually outrageous. If the entire game is set on a field, and that's all you're going to be playing on for however many hours, there's no reason for that game to be anywhere from like 70 to 100 and something gigs. There's just no way. There's zero reason for that to be the case. Like, there's no graphical fidelity that could take up that much space. There is no cool ray trace reflections that could take up that much space. There's absolutely zero content that should be worth 250 gigabytes. There just isn't. Like back in the day, you could play, Splinter Cell Blacklist came out 2013. The game looks great, and it's only like 20 gigs. Like if I check on Steam right now, I think it says like 18 or 19 gigs, and the game looks great. Like I would argue it looks better than Black Ops 7. Assassin's Creed Unity, for example. I know the game's quite big, but it's like super, super, super good looking. And on Steam, the game's like 40 gigs. And on PS5, I'm pretty sure the game is like, 50 or 60 or something near that number. And that game's only, 50 gigs. And then when you say that Black Ops 7 is 300, you're like, what are you talking about? Like, why on earth is a game that looks far worse than a game smaller in size, bigger in size. It just doesn't make any sense. That and graphics. I think graphics are a huge point in the sort of debate for storage. I think if you have a game that looks really good, and you have, and that same game is also like an actually manageable amount of storage, I can respect that. If your game looks mediocre at best, and it's 200 gigs, I simply just won't be touching the game. It's that simple, Like when you look at a game like Sifu, for example, 20 gigs. The art style is absolutely perfect for that game. It fits its narrative perfectly, it fits the combat perfectly, and the graphics are good. The graphics are good and mediocre. The art style is amazing, right? And since there isn't much textures or, you know, unnecessary content in the graphics, the game is only 20 gigs, right? You're not going to go and buy a brand new SSD just to play Sifu. But with a game like COD or like FIFA, for example, like FIFA 26, FIFA 26 is 60 gigs. That is absolutely outrageous because the game doesn't even look good by any means. I think honestly, like FIFA 17 looks better than 26. Genuinely. It's just outrageous to me how these companies are like just whipping out these like slot bombs for $80, and they're 300 gigs, and people just keep buying them. It's stupid to me. I honestly think that, and this is kind of like a conspiracy theory, whatever you want to call it. I genuinely think that, well, specifically Call of Duty makes its games bigger. That way, you can't download any other games on your console. So that way, you're kind of just forced to play Call of Duty. Because I generally don't think that there's a single thing in that game that can justify 380 gigs of storage being taken up. Obviously, that's just a conspiracy theory. That's not like, that's barely truthful because I have zero evidence to back it up. But the point I'm trying to make is that games storage should correspond to the graphical fidelity that they're outputting. Take Sleeping Dogs, for example. The game came out decades ago at this point, and the game looks fantastic. It's open world, but the open world is like pretty linear. It's not just like empty space with nothing in it. It's like a very, it's Hong Kong, I'm pretty sure. It's very slim, like the roads are very slim. That way, there doesn't need to be, huge textures loading in, like there's barely, if any at all, pop in Sleeping Dogs. And, when I was playing the game, like the game looks beautiful, for what it's worth. The graphics, might not be as complicated as today's graphics, like there's no ray tracing or, stuff like that. But the thing that makes Sleeping Dogs special is the art style. It's the city. It's, the world that you're playing in. Hong Kong felt like a real place because the people in Hong Kong, were moving on their own, doing just regular NPC activities. If you really wanted to, you could run down the street and like jump kick, a person with groceries in their hands. Don't know why you do that, but it's like free roam is so encouraged in that game because there's so much to do, and the game's only like 20 gigs. You can do so much more in in Sleeping Dogs than you can in Call of Duty, and yet Call of Duty is like 300 gigabytes more. It doesn't make any sense to me. I'm so frustrated by it because why on earth do I have a 1 terabyte SSD and I can only have like 3 to 4 big games, or like sort of not big but like main games, like multiplayer wise, Call of Duty, FIFA, Fortnite. and like rivals. Those are like the big four nowadays, I guess you could say. Why can I only have those four installed and like maybe room for like one indie game? Obviously, that's not what I do, because I don't mainly play multiplayer games. Like right now, I only have 2 multiplayer games that I like play, but it's so frustrating to me that these companies have zero care for the player. It's frustrating that they don't want to think about how much they're putting into a game and how well that they're optimizing it. Because at the end of the day, dude, we're the ones getting fucked over here. We're the ones that are paying $70. I mean, I'm not the one paying $70, but there's people out there paying $70 to buy the same game every single year, which by the way goes on sale for like $7 every single year after it comes out, like 2 months after, specifically for like FIFA and 2K and all the sports games. But there's people buying these and they're just getting robbed. Like they're just blindly getting robbed. I don't know how they don't realize it. It is so stupid to me, like how you could even make that bad of a purchase. Like my games, any game that I've ever bought, it's always on sale. I always buy games on sale because on Steam, they're pretty much always on sale. Whether it be Winterfest, whether it be summer sale, whether it be, just middle of the year sales, franchise sales. On Steam, you can get pretty much any single game on sale. On PlayStation, you can't do that. I've already talked about this in my previous video, how, the state of PlayStation especially is just trash right now. But on PlayStation, you don't have the same sales as you do on Steam. So these companies, knowing that like 99% of their player base, that's a little exaggerated, but 90% of their player base is on console and like mainly on PS5. They're aware that the PS5's SSD is like only 600 gigabytes of free space. They are launching games that are half of that, and they're like, "Hey, come buy the game. It's a great game. Except you can only have one other game installed if you install this one," which is just so stupid. I think genuinely, and Sony's not going to do this, but Sony needs to like give them a rule that they can't inflate the storage of games for absolutely zero reason, because if these developers don't have a limit on how much useless files they can dump into the game, they're just going to keep dumping more and more. And before we know it, we're going to have games coming out that are like 600 gigabytes and just aren't even as content filled as like Assassin's Creed Brotherhood. It's going to be so stupid. I'm really hoping that GTA 6 is like an understandable amount of storage. If that game's like 200 gigs or whatnot, I'm like, okay, that makes sense because the game is huge, right? It's probably going to be the biggest game ever. And graphically, the game looks amazing. There's probably going to be a ton of content in it. So I'm hoping that like my perfect storage range for that game would be like anywhere from 130 to like 200 gigs would be like the perfect range, in my opinion. Because you can still fit most files in that range, if not all of them. And this is just speaking from like previous releases, because I know obviously Rockstar might go crazy and just dump, a truckload of content in the game. But if they can keep it below 200 gigabytes, I think that's going to help a lot of people out, especially ones that like don't have, aftermarket SSDs, like equipped in their PS5 or Xbox or PC. I know it's not coming out on PC on release date, but yeah. Point is, please Rockstar deliver with the storage. I don't want to be downloading a game that's 400 gigabytes and it's useless. But anyways, my point is, I'm frustrated with these storage, configurations. I really hope that does make it better. And that's about it. See ya.